I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let the roll call show that Mike Dimick had an emergency. It's not going to be available tonight. I believe this should be an excused absence. Still, somebody has anything else to? So just note that. We do have a quorum, so we'll continue with our meeting. Approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion? Pardon? Approval of the agenda. Oh, sorry. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Weaver, second by Councilman Zent, that the agenda be approved. Any discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Communication from citizens. We have any communication from the citizens? Anything online? Anybody watching?
Got a couple on. Any questions?
I have a question. Is there a Christmas tree deal going on this year or Christmas?
Could you please speak up and talk to the microphone? That way everybody can hear.
Okay. Is there a deal where you have to sign up for the lights in town? There's supposed to be a competition or whatever.
The Chamber of Commerce handles that.
Okay,
I would suggest that you get a hold of Wanda Wise
okay,
and ask her that, or Jody Lang,
okay.
either one of them, and ask. But yeah, and I don't know if you got to sign up to it or they just drive around.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
have
and
to sign
look-
up. I'm not gonna worry about it, but
Oh, okay.
we just thought it'd be fun to do.
No, they have a competition every year. The Chamber of Commerce does for the lighting.
I don't remember if I did it like 4 years ago and I don't remember if I signed up or not.
They,
I don't think I did, but I just
I
don't
judged
remember.
them for 3 years with them and it wasn't a sign up deal. They just went around.
And
If
look,
you had any kind of lights, they put it on the list and they would drive around and you would
Only
judge.
takes
So-
like 10 minutes to drive around town.
Exactly. So it wasn't, and then they would notify whoever was the top three.
Right.
winners,
Well, thank you.
Respectively.
Any other comments? None being, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? That's approval of the minutes from November 30th, 2021, approval of the bills from December 1st, 2021 through December 14th, 2021.
yeah, I'm motion it.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Weaver, seconded by Councilman Zent, that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye, opposed the same. Passed all in the affirmative. We have no public hearing, no permits scheduled, no appearances by citizen, public presentation, unfinished business, mobile home removal. I believe we have also a satisfactory way to fund that. To do that, that would be spending city funds. There's a trailer owned, I call him Tim Thompson, but Dennis Thompson, owns on the west end of town. That was his mother-in-law's trailer. And when they moved it, lived in it for years. It was on a rented lot and they needed to move it. So she had sheetrocked the inside and made it a lot heavier than it was designed. So when they moved it, the frame buckled. And it's just an eyesore on the edge of town. The roof's blown off of it. I mean, Tim and I discussed how to remove that. And we were working on it. And then he had a heart attack. And then his mom died. And then he just had blood clots and lost both of his legs. He's just got home. He'd been down in the hospital in Utah since the end of August. I think the 24th, 25th of August. He'd been down there, him and his wife. Real expensive. I just did something similar. Very expensive to be down there and to do that. They really don't have the funding to get rid of that eyesore. They have the willingness. So they would deed that over to us or give us a bill of sale for a penny or whatever. And the city take ownership of it. And then we would, while we are doing the motel already and lip rippers and the old Bebout building, we could also probably get a discount to do that at the same time, try to get the eyesore there cleaned up. That was my thought, and the city would pay 100% of that. Estimates $3,500 each or possibly less. But I think it's a good investment in our future.
Bob, what was your idea last week you were talking to me about, Chris?
The town has a discretionary fund that comes from the rental properties that the town has. I would vote for getting rid of that trailer if we use those funds. I don't think we should use taxpayers' money to remove that trailer. Because then, to me, that's just wrong. This discretionary fund is set up for the town's use for purposes like this. In the past, we've given it to the high school for after prom parties. This, to me, I think would be a place for using that money. But to say, oh, we're going to take it out of the general coffers that the taxpayers have paid for, I think that'd be wrong. That's wrong.
I believe, Chris, we have the funding to do that in the discretionary fund.
So when we did the budget, the council has a discretionary fund, but that was only a small amount.
It was like 5,000 total.
Yeah. And that was irrespective of this. This was actually, remember when I said we had a $30,000 that we never budgeted in expected revenues. We never budgeted in expenditures. So it was money that was there to be able to raise. Part of that was $5,750, which derived from lease rents and monies that the town earns from properties we own that people, some of the leases that are on today's agenda add up to that $5,750 that was not appropriated in any way for an expenditure. So we could increase the discretionary budget of the council by that amount or whatever amount to be able to pay for that using those funds. And long story short.
So am I following that right? We'd have to increase our discretionary budget,
Correct.
increase our budget.
Yes, that's what we'd have to do.
It was a line item.
Yeah, line item, which is
Yeah.
1041,250.
Do you understand what we're talking about, Tammy?
I do.
Okay,
Because we never actually budgeted for anything
right.
when we did the budget. There was that surplus of money that was, if things needed to be increased, we had that without having to come up with new revenues to pay for it or go in the negative, basically.
No, I'd support that.
Yep.
Can I have a motion, Councilman Zent?
I move we use the town's discretionary fund to remove the mobile home that is owned currently by Tim Thompson. That the amount will be determined after the demolition has taken place.
So we'll raise it after.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I can't tell you how much it's going to be exactly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'll second it.
Been moved and second that we agree to take possession of the Dennis Thompson, locally is Tim Thompson, trailer house that was his mother-in-law's, and then dispose of it at city cost. And at that time, that'll be put out for bid, and we'll determine that amount that we're gonna raise it at that time. That makes sense? So it's been moved and seconded by Councilman Weaver. Any further discussion?
Just that the reason I'm really strong for it is, which is coming into town, I mean, we got lots of buildings that can be brought out of here, but that one's just such an eyesore to the town that we're trying to clean up. And that's why I'm like really on.
No, I'm the same way. I think it's an investment, personally myself, in our future.
Mhm.
We get that out and quite honestly, they're not financially able to do it. They're willing, but they're not financially able with all the medical expenses and stuff they've went through. I just believe it's something we should do for the betterment of the town. That being said, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Thank you. New business, senior center lease renewal.
I can find all that into one. That covers all the leases,
Okay,
unless you want to go by one.
we have 5 leases we're gonna renew.
Actually, there's 8. The airport hangars 3,
Okay,
and then there's 5 additional leases, so 8 total. There's the Hearst property, the Shoshoni activities, Brandy Hague Ramage, the Shoshoni Senior Center, and the 3 airport hangars, that's 7. And then Ramage lot use.
senior center airport hangar lease renewal. There's 3 of them, that's 4 ACL
That's-
credit union.
And the ACFCU credit union.
Yeah,
That's
that's 8. Anybody have a question on any of them that would like to?
It's
Get
not,
one of
on
them
did we ever get the water situation solved with the rodeo rounds?
We did.
Okay.
And we've been taking care of the power is what we do take care of.
One time we were talking about switching to 1 meter.
What is not here, I don't know where we're at with that.
Okay,
I thought we were talking about the power stuff. I don't know where we're at.
okay.
I better check. I want to say I believe that was taken care of, but maybe it wasn't.
Okay,
Yeah. That was.
I know
That
that
was
way it would
definitely the
save them
conversation.
money. It's everything
Right.
else. Okay.
I know that was our intent, and I'm thinking it happened, but. Can I have a motion to approve the renewal of all 8 leases?
I so move we approve the senior center lease, airport hangar lease, Herbst land use, Ramage lot lease, and the Shoshone Activities Association for the rodeo grounds lease for the upcoming year.
Was that all of them, but the AFCU, Atlantic City Credit Union?
That was not listed on this paper here,
Yeah, I wasn't. I missed it.
so I didn't talk about it.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I know, that's why I had to go back and I was like, wait a second, there's 7 here and 8 there. I missed it. That's my fault. I made
Okay.
that.
So. And a
I tried to
credit
make it
union
easy.
lease.
I tried to make it easy. I screwed up.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Been censored by council lady, pardon, I pronounce that right. Make sure it's discussion, any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same. Passed, all in the affirmative.
But I will note that the senior center lease is a 5-year lease now, not just the 1 year.
Yeah.
Just in case they can look at the, see that on the screen.
It's New Year's Eve fireworks. What do we have on that? Do we have a request, or was this something we're just gonna talk about?
Well, I had a couple of requests, I know in the past that 4th of July and New Year's fireworks was allowed in the state limit for a set time frame. Obviously, 4th of July was suspended pretty much countywide. There's had some people that didn't light their fireworks on the 4th of July that would like to be able to light them off on New Year's Eve as typical. There's no fire ban right now. And so they requested that be considered for a time frame to be able to light their fireworks on New Year's Eve.
Can I have a motion to approve New Year's Eve fireworks?
Make the motion.
Can I have a second? Motion by Councilman Weaver. Have a second.
Second.
Been second by Councilman Zant. Discussion.
We haven't talked about a time frame or the wind.
Yeah,
And so,
because it's
That's-
pretty dry.
yeah. And I think, this much wind is blowing on New Year's Eve. I'd say no fireworks at all. Like just,
Yeah,
so I don't know how to
How to word the.
make it conditional based
Yeah, I
upon,
think we could do that.
Yeah, because we want everybody to have a home.
yeah.
You know, I will say I attended the Lander parade. I gotta say that's one of the best parades I've ever been to. But Chris had talked about people not shooting off their fireworks. It had to have been that. And 'cause they had a guy pulling a trailer for multiple people. But anyway, they were pulling a trailer, about a 16-foot flatbed car, or looked like. And I could see fireworks, I was down near Mr. D's down there, and way on down, I could see fireworks going out. Well, geez, they're shooting out fireworks way on down by the bank. And I watch and I look over there, and pretty soon I look, well, the fireworks are getting closer and closer. They shot fireworks the whole length of that darn parade. I don't know, must have thousands of dollars worth of fireworks they never used in Lander. They just kept shooting them the whole length of the parade.
I know a guy.
Look pretty interesting, but yeah, that's, but I got a lot of buildings and asphalt around there. Not as much fire hazard as we have here in Shoshoni. But maybe we're gonna get some snow on this next one, I don't know. So would we amend the motion as conditional approval dependent on weather conditions and
And set a time.
then set a time?
I think last year we did 12:05,
Yeah. Something like that.
that sounds about right.
5 minutes after midnight.
Was it stopping?
But we didn't, it wasn't an all day thing. I think last year it started at was it 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock right after it got dark?
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't an all day affair. It was limited to 5 o'clock to midnight, 5, something like that.
So motion would be conditional from 5 PM to 5 minutes after midnight,
Works for me.
New Year's Eve. Day,
I think it's a Friday.
it's a Friday, so by noon Friday, or how much leeway, or by noon Thursday, we let out a notice if we're gonna allow it. Have
Well,
a
we
good
should have,
idea.
we should have a good idea of the forecast, at least of what the winds, it's gonna be a high wind warning, at least one day in advance.
Right.
We knew this one was coming
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
days prior. So we should have at least a little bit of notice if it's gonna be 30-mile-an-hour winds or.
So it's, could the motion also allow the clerk and or the mayor to make that call?
Works for me.
Depends on,
Yeah.
I'd rather do it as the police chief, not the clerk, but
yeah, oh, excuse me, the chief, please make that call. And we'll just, that'll be the other condition. We'll decide. We don't have to have a special
Right.
council meeting. I trust Chris to make that call.
I don't wanna be chasing fires on it.
Yep. So So the motion is, the amended motion is it will to allow fireworks depending on weather conditions from 5 PM to 12:05 AM the first. And the chief of police will make that call by noon, December 30th, to notify the public whether they can do it or not. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed on the affirmative. December 28th, regular council meeting. I would suggest that we don't have that meeting.
It works for me. I won't be here.
Else, someone has something business that we should be dealing with.
We could talk about fireworks.
Oh, yeah. I guess we could have talked about fireworks, yeah. But we took care of that. But if someone has something that do you have anything, Chris, that's upcoming that we need to deal with?
No, everything that needed the attention's already been dealt with for the year, so we're pretty much. Wouldn't say we're on vacation mode, but. Not a lot left to do after these leases. That's pretty much the end of the year business.
And I guess if something comes up, a special meeting can be called if something comes up that needs to be dealt with, but I don't know of anything. My guess, I'm gonna be around, but I don't know that for a fact, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be here. I got family coming up. I think I'll be here for a week. So if you so desire, someone make a motion that we don't have our meeting, a regular scheduled meeting, December 28th.
I'll make the motion.
And moved by Councilwoman Hardy. Hardy? Hardkey. Oh, God. Hardkey, I don't
Second,
know. Been seconded by Councilman Zant. Oh, what I was thinking of. And any further discussion? Done being, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? None being passed, all in the affirmative. Police report, please, chief.
Supposed to be a little bit shorter than usual, but we had a kind of unusual November. Had a couple warrants that we arrested around town. That was a little interesting. Well, no, we did have a lot more juvenile issues in November, which is kind of odd compared to the summer months. Some of them took place at the schools, some around here. We did have 5 disorderly conduct calls, which is a variation of harassment, people yelling and screaming, vulgarities, knocking on people's doors, just little antics like that. Our animal problems did reduce. We only had 1, which was actually 2 dogs that were recovered, taken to our shelter and reunited with the owner. So that again worked out pretty well. Overall, I think people are doing a lot better job keeping their dogs in their yards, which is actually nice, especially this time of year. Not that you would notice if you went outside. The other bad thing we had was quite a few domestic issues this November, which typically in these holiday seasons kind of rises, so it kind of diverts a lot of our attention. Luckily, we've had enough coverage to be able to respond to them and make sure that we're safe in doing so, and the county has helped out in some of that. But it's just been a busy November for calls for service that are not the typical paper calls, so to speak, where you do that, you're done in 10 minutes and you're back patrolling. Some of these calls have taken a lot of man hours and it's kind of slowed us down. So our traffic enforcement has not been quite as good in November as it was in previous months, but luckily the amount of traffic was pretty slow since we have no ice, no winter tourism right now, no snowmobilers or anything else going on. So it kind of coincided at the right time. So far, December is starting to pick up again traffic wise. So I think that will start being more of a factor. DUIs and stuff. We are part of the task force for that. So we will be doing a lot of DUI enforcement the next 2 weeks. So if you're going to drink, don't drive. And if you listen to the radio, or not the radio, but the comments on Facebook, I don't do 31 and a 30 because we'll pull you over. But please don't drink and drive. That's pretty much my biggest message for this year, because it's obviously with COVID coming back around again and not having a lot of things to do. Those things are starting to increase countywide. We were unfortunately a hotspot in the state is Fremont County. And there's been a lot of attention diverted to Fremont County law enforcement for resources for DUIs and just drinking in general. And it's not just drinking, it's also drug driving, which we're having a lot of. So if you're inebriated in any way, don't drive. And we do have DREs now in the area, so don't risk it. That's all I have for that.
Thank you. Any questions? And being library report.
So for November, 56 patrons were reported, 4 of them being children. Mainly adults. She reported $102.79 in revenue, mostly derived from donations from the community of $85.50. There is a cribbage tournament on December 18th. Looks like the one that put on the show won the show, so it's not sure what that call that.
The last one, yeah, Melissa did win it.
I mean, saying if I put on my own hunt, I'm the winner, Just saying. Ernie was second from Riverton and Chuck from Riverton. So a lot of people from Riverton coming over to play cribbage. I don't see the mayor on here anywhere.
I won the last 2 that I participated in.
Oh, so
So it would have been 3 in a row if I'd have won that, and they accused me of rigging it.
well,
I took 4th place, but it's not mentioned there.
oh, yeah. Well, there's no, if you're not first or last or something like that.
Yeah, no, we're top 3.
And Hot Summer Nights donated a pool/hockey table to the library for kids to be able to play, or actually anybody. That's a pretty good size, full-size air hockey table. So it's a half-size pool table. It's a pretty good size pool table. It's normal pool balls, more of a kid type thing, but that is now available and set up for people to come and partake in and have fun with. And I think that is all the events she has scheduled for December.
Any questions? None being, yes, Ken.
Side note to that. The funds that were derived from the soup cook-off
Yes,
was $40, and that was donated to the Christmas baskets for the community.
yeah. Yes, there was, that was a event at the library that we had in the soup cook-off, and any donations went to the,
I appreciate that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Chicken broccoli was good.
But it didn't win.
It didn't.
The tortilla soup did.
That was pretty good too. Yeah, actually, all 3 were good.
Round table, Tammy. Do you have anything you'd like to talk about in the community? Talk about how you're liking being a council lady. I mean, any or all, but you can bring up anything
I
during
just want to say
this.
the RV park is really nice that Tim has done.
Yes, it
It's
is.
looking really nice. I seen them putting that propane tank in there today. And I have people coming and telling me how the town is looking so nice. And it's really nice to hear that.
Yes, it is.
So we got to keep growing.
Yes.
I like all the positive news we get on our town. And we are always on the news on good things happening to this town. Just flat out good stuff. You don't hear anything bad, just all good. You don't hear oh, you're from Shoshoni anymore either. People always talk about the good things that are happening.
It's a team effort,
Mhm.
team effort. Whole town's is involved by the biggest part. I mean,
Right.
it's our main street's looking so much better. One of the reasons I really pushed to get that trailer.
Right.
Yeah. Bob?
I have a source at Wasatch Trails. As
Okay,
you know, they went to bankruptcy
yes,
and they have been sold to one of the companies that they service the rail cars for.
okay,
And I'm not sure when that's going to be closed but they will stay in town and continue their business at the Wasatch Trails doing the rail car repair.
it's great news.
And then I have a follow-up, Chris. I had a citizen talk to me about the alley on Oregon Street going east that was blocked by the fence.
Mhm.
And the citizen wants to know what's going on with that fence. And the alley is basically blocked.
I was talking to Joel about that the other day. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
That's where I think the problem we're gonna have to run into with that is that the time has lapsed to go back and correct. Going back through everything. I don't know if we can correct the original that said that, because where they're put in there is proper.
is it 150 feet deep?
That temporary fence that goes around, or not temporary, but that fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it should only be 140 because you're supposed to give 10 feet for easement to the alley.
But the alley was shifted when they did the surveying, that where the alley actually is on that line with the setback. The problem is that where it was originally with the construction, the other fences that went up there weren't put in there properly according to where the alleys are set up on the GPS and the survey. And so that's where we have the two non-congruent aspects that come together that makes the alley not being straight. So how to address it? Because that was through council when they did the building permit. They actually did a surveying that came out and did the surveying according to our maps when they set it up. And the other where the alley currently is not plotted right where it's platted. It's offset. And so I don't think we can go back because that was built 50 years ago, 60 years ago. When that original fence line went up. So the only way to fix it is either we have to redo the platting or something to correct that, or make them tear it down, which then again, if they're in the right, and they're doing, I don't know what the answer to that is.
Well, question is, the guy who brought this question up to me said, well, now my garbage has to go through private property. The garbage truck has to go through private property to get to my dumpster in the back of my house.
Yeah, it'd be tight in the car. It's just, it's squished.
Yeah, and so, it has to go through, so what happens if that private property says, you can't take this garbage truck to my property?
And that's where the problem is, because the one guy that owns the property, he has his property rights according to the way it's platted, and he did so. Now, we talked to them and make the setback even further for him. He keep his fence up, we have to encroach more on his property. I think the case we made, the city can do that because for that exact reason. But I don't know what the exact, without having Marshall here, I don't know what the legal procedure is to do that.
Okay,
That's,
so how do you want me to reply to this citizen who said, hey,
We're looking into it.
I guess I could
well,
say,
he said he turned his plane in officially on October 17th.
we talked about it twice. I did bring it up, and we talked about
Yeah.
it twice.
But he hasn't received any information back. That's what his concern is. The lack of communication, so, yeah. So.
So
what-
they're going in through the old
Through the
Phillies
old-
and cream.
Right.
Yeah, they're
Because-
probably not gonna want that.
And
Once
so how-
that gets open again.
That's what we need, how to rectify it, because you have one person that built it according to what his plots are, his plot, or his land is. Then you have the other land that was built incorrectly according to how it was platted, but it was never addressed for the last however many years. And so now you're running into two separate issues. One's in the right, one's in the wrong, but that's 50 years ago. So you can't hold them accountable now. And so which one's in the right? How do you rectify it? I don't have the answer. Other than have to take some kind of, and that's what I brought up, is that's the council gonna have to do something to address it, whether we make him tear it down. Or redo the his land, and somehow I don't know if we have to compensate. I don't know how that looks. Because I mean, it's his land.
I think this would be something we should turn over to Marshall and say, hey, what is the best
Correct.
solution for this issue?
And that's
When they did when they resurveyed, there was the original survey that they did many years ago was off 5 to 8 foot. Forget something like.
Well, I talked to Mike Norwick. He said the alley that goes to the old Adams Trailer Court
Yeah.
is off by 10 feet. And there's a jog in the sewer line that goes up to a manhole that because you follow the rest of the alleys from Maple through Pine up to Oak to California, all the alleys are straight, but the one through for his block is off by 10 feet. And so he's gonna end up making lots, some of his lots 10 feet longer and 10 feet shorter.
Well, his alley's going east-west, why it's off, because the survey was off north-south. I know when I built my house in 1980, we had it surveyed. My wife's grandfather lived next to us, and his house was 5 foot on my property.
Yeah, so I think this should be brought up with the marshal and saying, hey, how to rectify this problem? Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
I got a couple things else talking with that. I think probably in January, before we get our budget, we should be addressing zoning issues and stuff like that, going through some of our ordinances. I believe we should start doing that sometime in January before we start see what we can get done with that before we get into our budget session. So we talking to the councils, try to see when we can get the most of us available for input on that. But that's special meetings we have besides our regular council meetings, we can have special meetings or work sessions and have them and go through our zoning and stuff like that. We got a lot of outdated stuff that our master plan addressed. We need to change much of our city code on a bunch of this stuff. And I think that's something we need to attack and get that done. We also, I believe, need an annexation of the property we purchased west of town. And get that into the city limits. There's a real strong possibility that SLIB is going to approve our sewer project that will enable us to open that land up. So that's something that should be on on our radar, getting that done relatively soon. I've met with engineers and surveyors and stuff like that. Except pretty sure that's going to be gold. We need to, one of the things in looking at the plat and the surveying of the property is take our utilities in consideration and see if there's a way we can avoid putting a lift pump in that close to 40 acres. And that was, hopefully we sell a lot of that for school teachers and city and school employees. And plus other people will be available to sell too, but that's something we're gonna need to address. Because that might be something that might be the next, not this year, but maybe next, not this upcoming summer, maybe the summer after, that we might be able to address some of that, because we'd be looking at grant possibilities and stuff to work with that. But we need to start, I think it's good to start that process and just clean up much of our, Marshall's got some ideas on some of the stuff, dealing with derelict buildings and stuff like that would be part of that, the recommendation of our master plan. Try to get you a copy of that, Tammy, to go through it. But that's part of it. We'd be following the recommendations that we're, trying to improve our town. And I think we need to start working on that. Seemed like there was, I'd also like to bring this up, and I'll probably bring it up in January. The Recreation Board has offered to give us what's referred to as Rock Park. How that got on the radar, I was sat in a meeting, and the Recreation Board can't afford to maintain it. And they reached out to the state, and I sat in on that meeting, to abandon the park. Personally, myself, I hate to see us abandon it, because I remember when it was a pretty nice park, but it's in pretty tough shape. I've been told the sprinkler system is in bad condition, and I was also told it wasn't designed properly. Potentially, I don't know, but I remember when it was a pretty nice park. I'm looking at this may be a 5-year project. If we take ownership of it, we don't have the funding to put in a new sprinkler system. I don't know if we can play with, see what it's going, but we may find funding. I know there's the governor's directive is there's quite a bit of funding that's going to help bring for parks and stuff. But I think we should look at that park. If you follow our master plan, again, parks are a big positive for the town.
That's one by the old tennis court.
Yeah. See, then that includes the old tennis court. And I don't know if that can be saved or not. I don't know if it's feasible to put a membrane over that can be saved. If it's even a good idea to, I don't know. But and the restroom is in pretty bad shape, but I'd like to investigate, because the restrooms are very expensive to put in. And possibly, I looked at buying a prefab, like what we have in our town park now, something like that. Man, that's expensive. So, I don't know if we might be able to salvage that and be able to get something out of it. There used to be a lot of tables and more in there. There is a pretty good, picnic area covering there. It just needs some work. And I'd like to, kind of look at it and see if we couldn't possibly salvage that before we just turn it back to prairie. Because I remember it was a nice park, and hopefully, I'd like to see them. The rec department wants to maintain the softball field, and hopefully they could bring that into better shape where it can actually get used again. Because I know some of the town, we're talking about having some softball Hudson, Shoshoni, Du Bois, playing each other games and doing some stuff, and sort of getting some of the outdoor activities going, which also falls under the governor's recommendation there on what we're trying to do in Fremont County and statewide. But I want to bring that up, and I'll have a little better presentation, but I just want to just sort of get it on everybody's radar and think about it. Like I said, I remember when it was pretty nice down there, and I hate to see it abandoned. And this is initially shouldn't cost the town a whole lot of money, but we could end up spending some money in the future. It depends on grants, but we're pretty good at sniffing out grants. And I'd hope to do quite a bit of this with grant money.
For some reason, I thought the town gave that part to the rec board at one time.
We did. That's what I'm saying. They're offering to give it back to us.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's traded. That's how we got Adams Trailer Court. That was a land swap. Back, was that 2005 or 9, or when was it? 9, wasn't it? 2009 or 10? 9, yeah, Jay was mayor at 2000, yeah. But anyway, that was a land swap, and that's how we got Adams Trailer Court, the old Adams Trailer Court, because rec board owned that. They just did a land swap. But the rec board, funding comes from oil and gas, their funding's way down. They just don't have the funding to maintain it. And we don't, we don't have the funding to spend a ton of money on it either, but we may have a better ability to raise funding than they do, and we may be able to save it, and it may take us 5 years to do it, but we'll work with the state on that and see if we can't bring it back to life. I guess worst case scenario, we're unable to save it, it's abandoned. I don't know, but I think we can find a way to save it. And but I'm gonna bring that up. Just want to give everybody a chance to think about it, and got any questions or anything, but it's hit me up with them, and I'll try to, like I said, there again, I just sort of improvement for the town, and I just hate to lose it. That's it's right there along rails and trails, and I know countywide Wind River Visitors Council is going to be promoting that more and trying to get more usage out of that. And it surprises me the amount of activity it has on it now. I use it some, but gets a lot of usage, and that's part of what we're promoting in Fremont County is more outdoor recreation like that, more trails, more bicycle trails, more four-wheeler trails,
Did they get
walking
that
trails.
bridge fixed?
Pardon?
Did they get the rails on that bridge fixed? Do you
To
know?
my knowledge, not.
Kinda scared.
And that's the county, that's the county rec board that's responsible for that, not the local. But that's Fremont County Rec Board that's responsible for that. But any thoughts? I just wanted to bring it up. So that's something I'm gonna.
I'd make a nice little place for BMX bicycle place to run through.
Look at it. It's outdoor recreation.
Yeah, I don't know how many kids have bicycles, but somebody tried to bring a motorcycle across it, but it's not big enough for motorcycles, but for bicycles, it would be, I think.
Yeah, definitely not motorcycles.
Definitely no motorcycles, but it would be big enough for BMX bicycles.
I've also been told down by the rocks and stuff down there would be a great place to have a concert.
Charlie Pride was down there one day.
Well, he wasn't down there. He was up
further up, but.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we had Charlie Pride here. I was here for that. Cost $30,000 in 1980s money to get him to come. Guaranteed, regardless if one person showed up.
And the wind blew.
Yeah, the wind blew and we had a little thought about rain. If the show went on,
Mhm.
and Charlie Pride was a great entertainer. He went and shot, he liked the golf. So he went to Riverton and golf. We don't go to golf course, but he was down at the Wagon Wheel and I don't know, maybe had a beer or two, drink with the locals and just had a good time. But yeah, that was yeah, we were probably the third largest city in Wyoming the day we had them. Or fourth largest, I don't know. We were bigger than Riverton. Fifth, we were pretty good. There was a lot of people showed up. Oh, we probably wasn't that, but might have been about it. There was a lot of people, so I don't think there was. Anyway, the promoter didn't lose money. Promoter didn't lose money. Yeah, nobody, do we have any questions from the audience?
Got one online.
Okay, please. Who is it?
So it's Jody Lang, and I got a question. I heard that you guys were thinking about using money to tear down somebody's trailer. Was I misinformed, or where? My other question is, if that's the case, where is the money coming from?
That was all explained in the meeting.
I missed that part, Joel. I'm sorry.
It was basically, we're looking at, we have some discretionary funds available that we've taken from rents and stuff from our rentals that hasn't been derived from a taxpayer. You want to talk about that?
Jody?
Funding.
I was the one who proposed it. The town gets, we also today, did you hear about the leases that we approved for the airport hangars and the credit union and the farm for Herbst and Ramage's places?
Yeah, I remember you guys saying something about that. Yes.
Okay, that money is not taxed. That's an income producing money from the town. So it's not coming from the state or the county or anybody else. It's income producing. We put that money to a special fund called discretionary fund. In the past, we've used that for like giving money for high school prom, for the after prom party, stuff like that. My motion was that we use this discretionary fund to get rid of that trailer. This is not coming from taxpayers' money. It's coming from rental income, airport hangars, whatever. And that's where we're taking the money from.
All right. And my other question is it the town's responsibility to clean up individual property? Or, I mean, I guess I'm not understanding why the individuals are not being responsible for that. And can you explain that? I'm not understanding, I guess.
The issue is the owner of the trailer does not have the financial means. The trailer is on the west end of town with the roof blown off and broken half. It is a public eyesore. Yeah, I think what we're doing is investment in our future as we're trying to clean up the town. We would remove it the same time that we're demoing the Shoshoni Motel and the Lip Rippers and the building, they'll be about building across the street from the town park. So we probably get a little bit of a discount to do that trailer while we have the equipment in doing it. And that improves the look of our town immensely. Like I said, I believe it's an investment into the future of our town, as was just tearing down the Shoshoni Motel and Lip Rippers and the old Bebout building.
So my other question is, so does the property owner, do they have to pay a percentage or anything? They don't have to worry about it. Is that my understanding?
The property owner is going to turn over ownership of the trailer to the town of Shoshoni, and then it belongs to us. And then we're gonna demo it.
So does the property besides the trailer house, do you guys get that as well, or just the trailer house itself?
No, we're taking the trailer house itself. There again, the property owner does not have the financial means to do that at this time, and this really needs to be taken care of. And it's in the town's best interest to do this. And the way Bob proposed, using no taxpayers' money, it's discretionary fund, which it's discretionary, so the council can vote to spend that how we feel is best suited.
All right, that's fine. I was just curious. I mean, to me, it sounds like a good deal, but I was just curious of where the money was coming from and how all that worked, so.
No, that's just like I said, we're just trying to move forward, and it's right on Second Street when coming in from Riverton, and it's just, it needs to be done. And the owner was looking at doing it himself, but financially unable to at this time.
Okay, well, thank you.
Jennifer got a question.
Jennifer, please.
Hold on, I'm trying to unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I should have asked this earlier and I forgot.
Please identify yourself.
This is Jennifer Shano. Sorry.
Thank you.
So regarding farmers market, on every Friday that we have it, I have elderly folks that do come, and I was going to ask the town if there's any way that we could mark a few spots off as handicapped near the door. And this is not just for farmers market, but for other events that happen.
I forgot to mention that.
Yes, and that was, Councilman Zen actually brought that up the last meeting. So unfortunately, our attorney was in trial this week or the last 2 weeks. So that should be coming here in the next couple of weeks, where at least one spot is marked for handicap.
The credit union doesn't have parking either for handicapped
Correct.
or this building.
Nope. This one, I don't think we can do handicap in this building. That's part of the problem. None of this is handicap accessible. But the fire hall / credit union, we can put in a designated handicap spot along that rail, or there's
Yeah,
not blocking
something like
track. Exactly. And that could potentially be used to be able to access town hall, because they could use wheelchair accessible to go down the ramp on the sidewalk and get in here that way. And that's kind of what we would be looking at doing for that. And that would be painted blue and designated as a handicap spot directly across from both. So it'd be accessible and usable for both places. Still there?
Yep, that sounds like a good plan to me. And I think it would help other people out in the community with all the events that do go on there. So thank you.
Oh, and speaking of events, I just wanted to touch up, almost forgot the Breakfast with Santa.
Oh,
We didn't. That was a pretty successful event. We had near 60 people show up that came in and out, a lot of little kids. Santa Claus did just an excellent job. The town crew just did a very, very good job. And Jamie and Mike were the elves, Mrs. Claus, Kathy, and just fire truck went around and make sure everybody made a couple laps, made sure everybody was kind of down there. It was a pretty good time. And so can't wait till next year.
well, I will say the elf costumes that was the best $100 that Buddy and I both spent out of our own pockets. And I mean, they were kind of more like Halloween themed elves, but they were still elves. A little scary. Kids seem to like them though. Bearded elf.
We got the school involved earlier this time, so they had plans. We brought all the flyers. They really helped push that thing. So I wanted to tell the school, thank you for handing it out to all the kids.
And we have the next event this coming Saturday too. Hopefully the weather's nice.
Yeah, and they, same thing with the school. They got all the information on that. Hoping for a big turnout.
And we'll have the tree lighting. It was kind of late in the year, but I mean, it's followed by the cookies and cocoa with Santa at the plaza and the fireplace and whatnot. And I'm sure it'll be a fun time. So hopefully everybody comes out.
Is that 6?
The cookies and cocoa is at 6 and we're gonna do the tree lighting at 5:30. Hopefully it's not a National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation where we power the whole state down trying to light it.
Anybody, anything else? If there's none being for the betterment of our community, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Councilman Zant moved that we adjourn.
Second,
Who was first?
she's got it.
Okay, Councilman Hardy, Hardkey, why do I always, Councilwoman Hardkey, second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye,
right.
all same. Morning adjourned, 8:02 in the affirmative. Thank you for everybody that showed up.
Wait a second.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't
That's how it's pronounced.
know. Sammy, I could pronounce your name until right now.
I hurt myself. Wasn't that good? I was calling people out. We needed it.